Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro here. I'd like to welcome you to lesson number 6 of the Manifestation Discourses. In this lesson, we're going to be discussing the power of silence and darkness in the manifestation process. Now, I want you to understand that this manifestation discourses, all of the courses are designed in a way to walk you step by step, so that you can develop a high level of understanding as it pertains to how the creation process actually works, so that you can take this information and use it to create a high level of success, a high level of happiness, and a high level of health in your life. Consequently, I want to encourage you to make sure that you go back and study lessons 1 to lessons 5, because each and every lesson has been building up on the preceding lesson. So lesson number 1, we began with talking about preparing the mind. And lesson number 2, we talked about unleashing your imagination. Right? Lesson number 3, I introduced you to your divinity. I am God. That is lesson number 3. Lesson number 4, I introduced you to how your thoughts affect your reality. And lesson number 5, we talked about self-mastery through meditation. If you haven't watched those videos, you can find them in the Alpha Success Network YouTube channel under the playlist called the Manifestation Discourses. And if you're watching this on Facebook, you can find it in the Alpha Success Network Facebook page under the series called the Manifestation Discourses. Now, if you have been studying the lessons sequentially up until right now, lesson number 6, I have very, very, very good news for you personally. You are displaying the number 1 trait of an individual who has a strong intention to achieve a high level of happiness, health, and success in your life. And that, what you're displaying, is known as burning desire. So if you've come all the way up until lesson number 6, I want to encourage you and let you know that your chances of living your dream life are very, very, very high, because you have taken the first step of wanting to and seeking knowledge, wanting to learn and seeking knowledge. Now, if you've been with me from lesson 1 up until right now, lesson number 6, you definitely are beginning to get a sense that I know exactly what I am talking about. I take my calling as a teacher of these truths very, very seriously, because I know that there are millions of people out there in the world just like you who are seeking for the holy grail of happiness, health, and success, and this holy grail has eluded you up until now. I want to encourage you to the fact that your search is coming to an end with the information that I'm sharing here with you. So be diligent, be honest, for your future depends on your ability to understand, assimilate, implement, and realize this truth in your world. We're talking about the power of silence and darkness, and I want you to understand first and foremost that the success that you're looking to create in your life, whatever you're looking to manifest in your life, is not going to be caused by anything that is external to you. You are the creator. You are the master of your destiny. You are 100% responsible for the reality that you create in your world. It's got nothing to do with what's happening external to you. It's got everything to do with your invisible world, your understanding of the invisible laws that govern your reality, and your understanding of the invisible powers and the invisible forces that are in play in your life. Now, in your day-to-day activities, when you go out into the world, or even in your home, most of the time, your attention is outward, through your eyes, through the things that you're seeing around you, through your ears, the things that you're hearing around you, through what you're touching, right? Your attention is geared outwards through the avenue of your senses. Your sense of sight, your sense of smell, your sense of taste, your sense of hearing, your sense of touch. Now, I have told you that the success that you're looking for is going to depend on a very, very high percentage on you becoming the creator. And for you to become the creator, you have to tap into knowledge, powers, and laws that are internal, that are invisible. They are not in the external world. And therefore, right off the bat, you can see that it is almost impossible for you to discover the invisible laws and the invisible forces that govern your reality if your attention is constantly outward. Which brings us to the lesson that we have today: the power of silence and the power of darkness. Now, this is not necessarily meditation like we spoke about in lesson 6. But what I want to introduce you to here is developing the habit of devoting some time in your 24-hour period to be in the silence and in the darkness, and I will reveal to you why very, very shortly. So in my life presently, I get up very, very early, right? This is by choice. I get up very, very early, so somewhere around 4 o'clock, and I do my meditation, 4 or 5 o'clock. And I'm typically done my meditation when it's still dark and it's still silent. So if I'm up at 4, I meditate for 90 minutes, I'm done my meditation by 5:30. I still got about 30 minutes to an hour of silence and darkness. Now, that time, I may have some lemon water and I sit in the silence and in the darkness. There's no sounds and I'm not seeing anything. And this is a miraculous experience which I'm about to articulate to you. First and foremost, when you go out to manifest or create something in your external world, you use energy, right? You use some form of energy to create, whether to create money or to create relationships or to create vibrant health through fitness. When you are spending and investing time in the silence and in the darkness, all of your senses, actually predominantly your sense of sight and your sense of hearing, are, for all practical purposes, not being used at this point in time. And you tend to look inwards. And when you tend to look inwards, what happens is that you tend to gather your forces, you tend to gather your energy and bring your forces and your energy into a focal point within you. Consequently, your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, your spiritual body begins to accumulate energy because you are sitting in darkness. You are not using your senses to try to calculate information. You see, when you look out of your eyes in the daytime, when you're going about your day-to-day activities, when there's a lot of sounds that are going on around you, what happens is that your brain goes into overdrive trying to compute what's happening in your environment so it can make the best decisions for your safety. But in silence and darkness, you bring the activity of your brain to a minimum, which leads to you accumulating your force and your energy. This is very similar to an experience that I had when I went out jet skiing deep into the ocean. Right, I went so deep into the ocean that there was nothing around me, and the only thing that I could see was blue. Right, the blue of the ocean. Right, and I could hear only the waves, which is almost silent. So they call that blue mind, whereby when you're way out there in the ocean by yourself, like on a jet ski, and the only thing that you're seeing is water for miles and miles and miles and miles, and the sun reflecting on the water, your brain just dumps down to a certain very low frequency. It stops making a lot of computations, and you become very, very relaxed. And in that relaxed state, you begin to accumulate a significant amount of energy. I'm talking about a significant amount of energy. This energy is healing, but this energy gives you a sudden vitality, a sudden magneticism. So, what I do is I stay in the darkness and in the silence to shut off my senses of sight and hearing and go inward and begin to accumulate the forces. Now, these forces that I'm accumulating, I want you to understand that where you're sitting right now, right? Where you're sitting right now, there is in the air, and in the air, there's something that is finer than the air, which is the force of the universe. And this force of the universe is filled with a significant amount of energy that's always available to you, but you do not access it because every single day you're running helter and skelter. Your mind is confused. But when you sit down and relax in the silence and in the darkness, you give this force an opportunity to begin to accumulate in your being. On your journey towards manifestation and creation, you will need a significant amount of energy. This is why you see a very small amount of people are successful, because 95% of people do not have access to the subtle spiritual energy that is needed to manifest high levels of success. These are secrets I'm revealing to you. These are secrets that people that are very wealthy and very successful know of, but they do not reveal, either because they don't want to share with the world or because they do not know how to communicate this information. This is information that's not easily translatable into a language that could be understood. I'm doing my best at it because these are very abstract spiritual concepts. But take it on faith that spending some time in silence and darkness will accumulate your invisible forces and the invisible forces of the universe. There's something special about the darkness. The second thing that happens when you are in the darkness that's extremely important is that when there's nothing for you to look at. When you do not hear anything, your attention is forced inwards. And as you begin to spend extended periods of time in the darkness and in the silence every single day, right? Even if you're doing yoga, right? Sometimes I'm doing yoga and it's all dark and it's silent and it's at 4 or 5 in the morning. I can't hear anything. I'm doing my yoga, right? Or I'm just sitting down drinking my lemon water. Your attention is directed inwards. And when your attention is directed inwards, you begin to spend valuable time with yourself. And what is this self that you're talking about, Pedro? I'm talking about your spirit, your soul. You know, when you spend time with yourself in a coffee shop, it is not the same because your attention is outward. You're people watching, right? You're hearing the barista making coffee. You're smelling the coffee beans being roasted. Your attention is outward. But when you spend time by yourself in silence and darkness, all of your attention is inside of you. And when your attention is inside of you and around you, right, in the silence and in the darkness, you begin to get to know yourself. Now, this knowing yourself is very, very important in the manifestation and creation process. But let me give you a perfect example. You know, maybe you are dating someone, right? And you spend time with them. And when you spend time with them, you get to know them. Or maybe you have a friend that you spend time with. And when you spend time with your friend, you begin to know your friend. You begin to know his idiosyncrasies or her idiosyncrasies. You begin to know their strengths. You begin to know their weaknesses. You begin to know how they behave, how they act, what their tendencies are. And because you know your friend or your intimate other, then you can anticipate how to behave when you're around them, or you can anticipate what actions to take in your life as it pertains to your relationship with them. This is a very, very similar example to you spending time with yourself in silence and darkness, whereby you're drawn inward and you begin to know yourself at a very, 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 very deep level. And when you begin to know yourself at a very, very deep level, the first thing that happens is that with time, this knowledge and quality time with yourself leads to you beginning to develop a high level of love for yourself. Most people in today's society are suffering from the I am not enough syndrome, right? They do not love themselves. They do not accept themselves. The truth is, they don't know themselves. And if they don't know themselves, I mean, how can they love themselves? You see, I spent so much time by myself, every single day in the silence and darkness, and I've developed a very deep relationship with myself. As a result, I love and accept myself exactly as I am, because in this silence and in this darkness, I have discovered the second thing, which is a deep understanding of my strengths and my weaknesses, a deep understanding of what's going on in my mind, a deep understanding of who Pedro is, right? As a physical manifestation on this plane, like I understand my personality and my ego, and on a deeper level, I understand my spirit and my soul. I know what I am thinking. I know the kind of thoughts that are going on in my head. I can anticipate what I'm going to do because I have gotten to understand and know myself. I know my weaknesses. I know my strengths, right? I spend quality time with myself in the darkness. And as a result of this, I begin to discover that in this quiet solitude moment, I begin to discover that, oh, I have some very, very, very special powers, right? If it's dark and I can't see anything with my eyes and I can't hear anything with my ears, but I can still see with my inner eye and experience this presence that still exists, right? Right now it's dark right now, I'm speaking to you, but there's this presence that's speaking through this darkness. Oh, this presence is what? This presence is my soul. Oh, okay, this my soul lives even without the physical body. Oh, I see, I see. My soul has got certain impulses of thought which, through the use of my imagination and visualization, I can build into castles of success, happiness, and joy. Oh, I see this in the quiet of my soul. And discovering all of these powers that are inherent within me. You see, in the darkness, there seems to not exist an external world, but I can still imagine, I can still visualize, I can still plan, I can still strategize, I can still think, I can still feel. The manifestation discourses, what you're looking to create in your world comes about by you understanding that you are the creator. But you will never understand that you are the creator if you do not discover who and what you are and what you have inherent within your being. And you cannot discover this when your senses are geared outwards. So we have looked at the accumulation of energy and force, and we have looked at the getting to know thyself in this period of darkness. And I'm going to take it a level higher because you folks are here listening to me and watching this manifestation discourses because you want something that you have never experienced before. You want some information that will take you to the next level. We call this a quantum leap. Your wish is my command. You ask, you will receive. You knock on the door of knowledge. I open the door and let you in, bid you in, welcome you in to the secrets that are about to flow through my mouth, through this device, and into your aura. Understand that in the darkness and in the silence, you come in the presence of the universal intelligence, infinite intelligence, God. And in this silence, you will begin to experience not only that God individuated itself into you as a result, you are also God, but you'll also discover that you can access, that you can tap into the God presence. You are close as ever to the mighty spirit world, the mighty God world, when you're in the silence and you're in the darkness and in this presence of the mighty spirit, of the mighty God. You begin to receive answers to your deepest questions. They come to you through silent impulses flowing through your spirit and lodging themselves in your brain as a eureka, as an aha moment. In other words, they come through your intuition. When you are in the silence and you are in the darkness, the most important discoveries have room to come into your life because you are quiet. you are still, there are no distractions. And now you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that if you get to know yourself very, 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 very well when you're in the silence and darkness, if you accumulate your forces and your energies, right, your physical forces accumulate because you relax. Your mental forces accumulate, right, because your brain has damped down to a low level activity. Your emotional forces accumulate, right, and you get close to and become one with and discover that the mighty God, universal intelligence, infinite intelligence is always close to you, and you can plug into God through the mighty spirit realm, which you're close to in the darkness. And then receive intuition, receive the messages which lodge themselves into your brain. They call this intuition. And when you come out of the dark of the night, you can take these ideas and go out into the world and use them to create more success, more health, more happiness, more vibrant relationships. You are about one idea away, but that idea does not come from the external world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Manifestation Discourses. We are talking about becoming a conscious creator. The results that you're looking for are not necessarily being created by the external circumstances of your business, the external circumstances of your job, the external circumstances of other people. They're coming about due to what's happening in your invisible world. And if you do not understand what's happening in your invisible world, you will create chaos in the external world. But if you understand your invisible world, you'll begin to develop a deep relationship with yourself, understand the powers that you have, and connect to the mighty God, the mighty infinite intelligence, and tap into the powers of God, who is all knowing, all powerful, all present. You are bound to be successful. We're going to wrap this session up. The power of silence, the power of darkness. Play back, think about it. There's some powerful nuggets of wisdom that I've dropped here for you. Go back and study lessons 1 to lesson 6. I'm going to be back soon with lesson number 7. Share the message with anyone who you think will benefit from this information. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the Facebook page, the Alpha Success Network. And the moment I drop the 7th lesson, you will be the first to know.